Hey, what's up you guys, it's Audrey and welcome back to my channel. If you are new, bonjour and welcome. Today's video I think might be the most special one of all because, ladies and gentlemen, I published a book. This is my book. This is my poetry book. But basically today I'm going to be answering all of your guys' very technical questions about how I actually self-published this book through Amazon, through the Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing system. That's probably why you're here if you're looking into that. I hope I can explain all the things that I wish I knew before I published a book, because it's definitely a lot easier said than done. It's exciting. It's weird saying it's easier said than done because I mean, like, it's crazy how simple, like, that I was able to publish a book myself at 16 is crazy, but there are just so many things I didn't know. So I'm happy that I can sit down with you guys and answer these questions. For starters, I'm going to give some background. This is my book, Collapsia, if you did not already see my last video, which was the book trailer. I know this kind of came out of nowhere if you only follow me on YouTube. If you are following me on Instagram or like TikTok and stuff, I post a lot about it on Instagram, and I've been writing this my whole life. These are a collection of poems from the past 3 years. So I was never really writing for the book. This is just mainly all of the poems I've written. Obviously I didn't put all of them in if they were bad. Like, I picked the best ones, you guys. But you get my point. These are like all of the poems over the past 3 years, and I started writing it in January, sitting right here where we are, which is crazy, full circle that it's sitting here. Me with my little laptop on Google Docs. I've talked about publishing a book since forever. I didn't think I would actually do it this soon. It was always just like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put a book of poetry out one day. And I'll kind of explain what inspired me later on. But yeah, so it is now July. This came out July 6th. So it took me a good like half a year to put all of the poems together, put it into an actual paperback, get it on Amazon, figure all that out. Yeah, and so Collapsia is available on Amazon on Prime. It's $10. I will link it below for you guys to check out. It's about 126 poems, and it's very it's romantic, I would say. Like, a lot of them are about romance and love and heartbreak and all of that in between stuff, but since it was written like in your teen years, I don't know, it's very like, you see a lot of growth through this. I write about my first date, I write about heartbreak, like, it just follows a teenager through very real things. So it's all kind of about love letters. As you can tell, the cover, I also illustrated this whole, I'm all over the place. I never even mentioned I illustrated this myself also, and I will have to explain how I did that. But yeah, I have a love letter on the back. The foreword is called an open love letter. The afterword is the closing love letter. I don't know what it is with love letters that is so intriguing to me, but I based my whole entire book off of that. So it's basically a giant open love letter to everyone I've ever loved. So yeah, this is my journal. This is my iPhone notes app. This is my head. And I'm giving it to you. You can hold it yourself on your bed. You can read this, tear stain it, underline it with Sharpie, highlight it. Like, so crazy that you can do that when I've done that with other poetry books forever. First off, a lot of the questions, like I said, will be technical and really about how I physically published the book, but I do get a lot of questions about what inspired me to start poetry, how to start writing poetry. So briefly, I want to tell you guys how you could get into it, how I got into it. So when I was 11, I got my first journal. These are all of my journals now, and I literally numbered them as book 1, book 2. I write them like I am writing a book. I'm telling someone about my life. Well, do I write them like I'm writing a book? I'm just writing about my life. Like I'm writing to a person, like someone who's going to read these. Obviously they're not poetry, but I just think getting into writing about life and writing about your life and putting something down every single day and challenging yourself to write. Well, I don't journal every day, let's be real. Anyways, it's just a good way to get into writing, and that's what I think really inspired me. So this is the first journal I got when I was 11. Yeah, it says book 1, 2015 to 2016. And then I've got book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5, and my current journal, book 6. So yeah, this one, like, it's just so crazy to look at them because this is basically my whole entire year being 16, which is, I feel like, just really special, and looking back at them is just crazy. And that's just a whole other dream, is to publish all of my journals. I always thought that would be interesting. Then that same year I got that journal. I got my first poetry book that really inspired me, and I just ate it up. This is 18 Years by Madison Kuhn. I am such a big fan of her poetry, and this one especially, 18 Years, she writes all throughout high school in it, and she has it like divided up in years. It's just a really beautiful book. And then after that, I have a whole shelf full of my poetry books now, and it's crazy that like mine is sitting there. So, okay, let's get on to the actual questions now. So, like I said, I used Kindle Direct Publishing through Amazon. Obviously, I don't love Amazon as a brand as a whole, but this did kind of seem like my only option for my first book right now, just because it's free, which is amazing. I could do everything myself, basically, and it's just a little bit more straightforward than those other publishing companies where you have to pay a lot. Yeah, I just didn't want to go through that in my first book, being 16. I'm 17 now. I'm gonna probably mention being 16 a lot in this video because I wrote it and did most of it when I was 16, but I just turned 17. So anyways, that's the platform that I did it on. What was the hardest moment in the process of making this book? So very easy in the beginning. Writing a book or publishing it through Amazon is easier said than done, because like I said, it's very straightforward and easy, but once you actually get into like the formatting and having to put it into Amazon, that can be confusing. So that was probably the hardest part for me, because I put the book onto Google Docs. That's when I started it. I had all of my poems in my journals or on my notes app, and I just would look at it and I'd copy it into Google Docs. And at the time, I didn't know how big my book was going to be. I didn't know what any of that meant or was. Like, I was so clueless then. So I just wrote it like I was writing, you know, whatever. I obviously did like have the title, and I had it, you know, in poetry form, but I didn't have the margins and the header and the footer, like things like that figured out. So I'm not saying you have to know that right away, but have a general idea that you will need to like fix that, and know that your format can fix that. And I had to watch so many videos. Like, guys, when I tell you I did this whole entire thing by myself, basically, only thing I had help with was my mom edited it for me. I'll talk about that. And I had my dad help me figure out the cover spacing, but everything else I watched YouTube videos on, and I figured that stuff out myself. So I'm telling you, you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. And there are YouTube videos, there are articles, you can figure it out yourself, I promise. But there's just certain, I don't want to get into like that big of detail, because what your book size is, I believe mine is 6x9. Which is a pretty standard size, and I believe it's like 5x8 is the other pretty standard size for a poetry book. You have to have different formatting, different margins for all of that. So that was the most difficult part for sure, when I realized I had to do that, because I finished my book, what I thought I'd finished, and I put it into the preview for KDP. If you're on that site, you would like know what this, and it was completely out of the lines. It like didn't fit on the pages at all, and I took days. I stayed up till like 1 a.m. figuring this out. So just look up what your header and footer or your margins has to be. I didn't even really know how to work my computer systems that well. Like, I didn't know where to put that stuff in. Like, you have to have it down to a T. And when I tell you I resaved my book as a PDF a billion times and kept putting it into the previewer and making sure like everything was perfectly lined up, it's a process, and maybe there's an easier way to go around it, but like when I tell you I was so clueless just figuring this out by myself, I went through so much more trouble than I needed to. Can you show us how the pages went from a Google Doc to the Amazon publishing system? So they didn't actually go straight from Google Doc. I put them in because the pages were all messed up. I had to rearrange the pages in Adobe Acrobat, I think. You will have to find something, this was actually one of the hard parts. Maybe I should have said that was the hardest, was organizing my pages. Because when you start writing the poetry book, you don't really know what your title is. You don't really know what the theme 100% is. It's going to change for sure. Because I didn't know that I was going to put you know, this page that says the definition of Collapsia. I didn't know that was going to be my first page. Then I have the dedicated to you. Like, you don't know that you're going to need blank pages in between things. And I didn't have the table of contents in until days before I published this book. I'm telling you guys, like, so you're going to need multiple pages for that. You're going to need a blank page before the foreword. Like, there's so many random things that you're not prepared for. So you just start writing the poetry book by putting the poems in. You're going to need to rearrange your pages and add pages. So Google Doc, I don't believe you can do that. I think the only system that I had that could was the Adobe Acrobat. If you guys know of a different one, or if Google Docs can do that, look that up. Comment that below and help each other out. But I obviously either am stupid or I just went through a bunch of trouble in so many different sites. Because I also had to work on Canva. My book went through so many different computer systems because I'm an idiot and I didn't know what they could all do and if I needed different ones. But so I worked on Google Doc. Oh my goodness, wait, I worked on Microsoft. I worked on the Word. I worked on like Pages. So I think in total I worked on 4 different computer system like things. I worked on Google Doc. I worked on Pages that comes with the Mac. I worked on Adobe Acrobat and I worked on Canva. Like, you just have to kind of figure out what's best for you, what systems are best, which ones you even have and can afford. Because I went through so much trouble that maybe I didn't even need to go through. But you basically just have to save it from Google Doc as a PDF because everything has to be a PDF to go on to KDP. How much does it cost to print each book? So it actually costs $2.57 to print a book from Amazon. Then they have to profit off of it, and then I get some of the profit. So that is why the book is $10. I'm not making that much money off of it, but I didn't feel like going through a publishing company and spending a bunch of money not knowing how many people were going to buy the book. I would have rather just put it out. Amazon did everything for me. I think I forgot to mention this earlier. Hopefully I put it. But the Amazon system is a print on demand. So I don't have to like know how many people were going to buy the book. Like, I didn't buy like 100 books and I needed to sell 100 books to make my profit. Like, anytime someone buys it, like if you go and buy it right now, your book is not ready. You hit order and they're going to print your book right now and it's going to like ship tomorrow. So forever it's just going to be ready to print on demand like that. This probably sounds weird, but like I make less than $4 off of a book. I don't know if people are like this transparent, but yeah, my book is $10. Amazon has to make money. They take the printing cost and then I take a little bit of money. It honestly was okay and fine with me because I didn't want to just pay a bunch of money up front. Since it's free, they're messing with the shipping, they're messing with everything. Like, I was okay with that. That just has to be up to you. Maybe you have the money to spend on like a publishing distributor. I don't know. Any advice for someone who wants to self-publish their own poetry book? There'll be so much fear involved with publishing a book or publishing a poetry book because it is so vulnerable, and you have to realize that you aren't doing it for anyone else but yourself and the few people that you know you're going to help. You have to know that your book is going to help someone, and if it's helping one single person, you have done enough. Don't care about anyone else who is going to judge you or dislike it, or you cannot get in your head and like worry about that kind of stuff. You've just got to do this for yourself because it is freeing to put everything out there and release it and then hear the feedback. And you do it for those people and you do it for yourself and you don't worry about anyone else, okay? How to do covers, someone asked. That was a pretty difficult part of the book process that I wasn't expecting. Like, you don't really know how to plan that out. But like I said, I did all my illustrations myself. So I guess another program added on to the list of programs I used was Procreate. They have like a cheaper Procreate, and I don't know how that one is, but I bought the like $10 Procreate and I would recommend it. I did all of these illustrations on my iPad with this finger right here. Like, when I tell you guys, this book is like my child. I drew her with this finger right here. Procreate is awesome. It has so many different brushes and colors, and you can save things as PDFs or PNGs so that the background is like, it's just like an image yeah, I drew all of these images over a span of like a week. I worked on them. They're pretty, you know, little basic, but they just kind of give some more flavor to the poems. I would definitely recommend having some illustrations in your poetry book. A lot of the modern Instagram poets that I have, there are illustrations in most of them, so that's definitely something I knew I wanted to do, but I did not want to pay anyone to do them when I am in, you know, I can do a little art, I can do little doodles. I trusted myself. So I also did the cover, and they also have text on there, so I did like all of that on there. Like this was like a whole image. And then on the Amazon KDP site, there's a section where you put in your manuscript, and there's a section where you put in the cover. And I always thought for some weird reason that my cover was going to be like in the manuscript. No. It's a whole separate thing, and KDP will give you an outline, or they will give you like the dimensions of like where your cover images have to be. So there's going to be a front, there's going to be a back, and you're going to have to come up with a spine. And this daunted me. I was like, how do I put this spine on? So just look up all of the spacing. I did the cover on Canva. I should have said that first, which I think is a paid thing, but I think you could just figure out the cover anywhere. That's just where I did it. And yeah, I was kind of worried about how like the spine was gonna look and everything, but it turned out awesome. And I do have to add that they do give you an IBS, is that what it's called? ISBN, which is that little barcode there. That was probably the thing I found the least information on, but luckily KDP, the Amazon site, kind of gives you some more info. And also they give you the option to have a matte finish or a shiny finish, and I went with matte. A lot of people like asked me what were things I didn't know before publishing my book, and honestly I'm giving it all to you guys. Like I didn't know any of this. I didn't know a dang thing about publishing a book before I did this, so this is everything. How did you come up with the idea of your book? Like I said, I'd always wanted to publish a book. I've always, especially a poetry book, was the main thing. And since I'd always kept journals and I had that idea of wanting to put all my journals out, originally what I was going to do with this book, and I had a couple in there, but I just like wasn't enjoying it. I was going to have my poems, and then I was going to have full journal entries from my journals. And I might still do that one day, because this is not going to be my one and only poetry book. I plan on releasing others in the future. There's no real idea, I just like wanted to, you guys, like I just wanted to. I guess the actual idea for the name of the book, if you're wondering what Collapsia means, like I said, the definition is on the first page. It's the delusion of things being more beautiful than they are. And I want people to interpret that as they will, because this is about growing up, this is about learning. And I kind of explain it in the foreword that I feel like I'm like that. I'm a very dreamy, romantic person, so things at first seem very beautiful to me, and you kind of dig deeper into them and they aren't, and you learn from them, and it's all a beautiful mess. But that was the idea for the name, and my friend actually gave it to me. My best friend Julia, and I talk about this also in the beginning, it was over quarantine. I didn't have a name for the book for a really long time. She loved finding pretty words on Pinterest. She had like a whole board, and we were just talking one night, and she said, "We see the world like Collapsia." Wow, that sounds like a name of a book, and I'm gonna name my poetry book that. And it all kind of fit really well. I was nervous about making that the name of it because I didn't know if people would be able to pronounce it or search for it. And lastly, someone asked, how did you get it on Amazon? I would love to write a book, but I'm not sure how to actually get it into physical copies, if that makes sense. You just make an account, put in your manuscript, they review it, and my book was originally supposed to go up on July 10th, my birthday, my 17th birthday. And it came out July 6th, very randomly. I was like, oh, my book's out, you guys. Because I'm stupid. No, I just like I don't know anything, like I didn't know anything, like I said, this whole thing. So once you put your book in for review, they're telling you that it could take up to a couple days if something's wrong with it, like they'll have to tell you. And I'd actually hit publish on my book another time, and the cover was messed up, so I had to go back from the review, from publishing it, fix the cover. I reviewed it, They said it would take 72 hours. It ended up happening way faster. I woke up from a nap. Yeah, this is such a random, like, I'm all over the place. I'm remembering all these crazy stories. But I literally woke up from a nap Monday, July 6th, to an email saying my book was on Amazon. And I woke up, ran downstairs, told my mom, we freaked out. And I had to get ready for a dance and go to dance. And I ended up skipping that day because I wasn't going to be able to do that. I was just going to be way too excited. I knew I needed to post things. I wanted to get a book trailer out. So the day my book came out, I filmed the book trailer and I released it the next day. When I tell you guys, I am so messy. I really am. But that's life. Yeah, this is so weird. Thanks for buying my book if you bought it, you guys. Like, what? I'm just really proud of it, and I can't believe so many people actually bought it and are enjoying it. And I was so nervous the day it went up. I was so nervous people would think my poetry book was like Gabby Hanna's or something. Like, luckily it did not stoop that low to the Gabby Hanna level. Anyways, I just can't believe it's out. But I have a special thank you in the afterword to you guys, to the viewers. Now, before I read this and I let you guys go, once again, you can purchase my book on Amazon. I will link it below, or you could literally just search Collapsia and I am the first thing to come up now. If you bought the book and you enjoyed it, it would mean so much if you left a review. That just like boosts it a little bit more and helps other people know if it's good enough to buy when they're looking. This is from the closing love letter in Collapsia. Lastly, I want to thank all the people who have followed me since the very beginning, and even the people who followed me last week. I owe everything to you. None of this would be happening if you hadn't given me the chance. 2018 was when I uploaded my first visual poetry video. My whole body was shaking and I honestly wanted to throw up pressing publish. After that, it got easier and easier to share more of my writing. What I've learned the most on the internet is that you have to give people the chance to be good to you. Someone out there needs your voice. Take chances and make things you're passionate about. I started on the internet at 12 and at a very dark time in my life when I didn't like who I was. I found an escape in creating Freewall and making pretty things. To have even just this small platform and fan base now is incredible. I feel like I've just about grown up with some of you. From the beginning to now, thank you for supporting me and now my writing. I feel like I'm making that 12-year-old girl proud. Love, Audrey Ann.